Welcome back to ShopDog-Garage. Looks like Harlan's been busy. It's going to be a 78 Camaro video here in just a minute. Just walking in. It's a bit chilly out, but we didn't get that 9 inches of snow. That's down south, so they can have it. We don't want it. Alright, we're gonna come on in here and get cracking. I did extend the wires on the fans. So, if you recall from last week or the week before, I think last week, we've got to do some clearancing for the steering gear. So, I went ahead and extended the fans, and I did bring the riv nut tool. So, I have that on hand. Let's get in the fish truck, which is no longer set up for fishing. All that stuff had to come out. But I will get all this in and set up, and we'll be right back. Riv nut tool and a bunch of riv nuts is there. You won't have seen this yet, but it'll be in the middle of a Camaro video at some point for the 67. Sorry, it's been going a little slow on that. I got, 5,000 other things to do. It turns out I even have a real day job that I got to do. That's been a little busy. But the other day at home, went ahead, extended all these wires out. Nice heavy wire here. So, and they're all, it's all heat shrunk and spliced properly. But we'll worry about those later. If you recall, we're going to start doing some work here, and we were also going to make a plate. In fact, it looks like he grabbed some old computer cases. These actually might work out pretty good, actually. At least for a couple of the brackets. We'll see how hard that is, but we definitely want steel for this. But you can see where we're going to be working. So let's get cracking. Okay, I know it looks like a bunch of scrap, but this serves a purpose. I took a box that was roughly the same thickness as the shroud, and I just used that bottom corner as a locator. And then I kept trimming. So let me set it down for a second, and had a nice fit, and that went down and went around so that it could fit all the way in, like so. And then went and measured that, because remember, we're biasing it to that side. Figured out where that line is, transferred that to my template box, cut and folded that. So this is actually my outside edge. So now when I come over here and I look at this, you recall we were going to make all these cuts. So it looks kind of like this. That's the bit we're going to cut. And then we'll go from there. So I don't think we have to cut a whole bunch. Not like we originally thought. But we have to bias it to the side, or that petcock is absolutely useless. Getting ready to start cutting, because you can't undo that. But based on what we know, this is the minimum I'm going to start with, is this kind of pattern, and we'll go from there. What we had done last week when we were just kind of eyeballing it was kind of work with this shape. But honestly, if I can leave, at least 3/16 to that, I'd rather keep it. So let's see if we can get away with that. So we're going to start with the minimum. I can always cut a little more. Putting it back sucks. We're going to see how close that is. This is what the initial cut looks like. Obviously we'll clean that up pretty when we're done, but let's see how much more comes out. Okay, so this is where we're at. So I'm just checking. I just went over it pretty heavy, trying to make sure there's nothing much to cut me, although I can see a piece right there I've still got to do. But this allows us to do a pretty good job of centering. So we're going to be pretty happy with that. That's going to look good. We'll show you in a little bit, but we got to make a plate for the bottom for it to set on. I can't hold that and film it, and so we'll get there. I forgot to show you guys what we were doing, but we cut a piece of steel that was sitting over there that had some little things on it. And it's not square yet. It will be when we're done. But it already had this bend in it, which made us even think of it. So we did a nice little offset bend on the brake. And now look. So that'll be a great shelf for those fans. And then we've already looked to see, and we've got enough room before that first tube that it looks like we'll be able to put some quarter 20 nut certs in to hold this. So we'll do those in this part into this, and then when we get the fan where we want it, we'll mark all that, and we'll put nut certs in the fan and some holes in this once we get it cut to the right shape, and that'll make it so that it's easy to do from underneath the car, particularly on power tour or at a shop or something, and you got to deal with the radiator. You always seem to. Okay, so for the part going to the radiator, we've got 3 holes marked. I've piloted them, but remember, there's tube back here, so we got to be careful. So the next thing I need is a 23/64. Well, that should keep me from punching through to that fin. Okay, so we've done one, and I was just checking to make sure we're happy. And I love it when something works. So that dog point fits. So let's get these 2 done real quick. Okay, so here we are testing the concept. And see, that's not going to hit or anything. Those bolt holes can be whatever they want. But now we're going to set the fan on there and see how that looks. Okay, so using a nice clamp, and it's sitting down there, and look at this, all this room. So I'll have to reroute the hose. Obviously that's not going to work the way we wanted originally, but you know, that's easy enough compared to the fan. Yeah, so that's just sitting on there now. So now we know we can center that, and that'll work. We still got to design these. Now those are the ones, so once that goes in, there'll be a couple bolts from the bottom. Once we've got those located, then we'll figure out what we're going to do here. I thought, I'll be right back. Okay, and because these have a thickness, we're going to make a little strip of isolator here. That's what we're calling it, you know, this nice synthetic. That when this is all painted and stuff, it'll be glued to it. But for now, I just want to get it on there because I want to locate my mounting holes here, and I want all of my thicknesses accounted for. Okay, so here is how this bottom bracket works. You can see we got nice retention, little spacer, little wiggle around this, and then there will be some of that material in here, and then a nice little space so it's easy to set it in. So when we're setting it in, it can kind of come in and lean. We talked about making that sharper, but I think that bites us in the butt. Another thing that's nice is since we get to keep these, we can use that little flappy. That's cool. And I think he's got more of this stuff, so we can kind of make this a little softer too. So we're getting there. Okay, so here is kind of where we're at. We've bent some brackets. We still don't know how we're attaching the radiator to the core support yet, but I think this is how we're going to fasten the top of the fan to the radiator. You can see this concept here we're really happy with the little isolators. So I have no doubt whatsoever that that'll be more than enough to hold this if we can get these 2 brackets mounted. But before we drill holes for that, one, you can't undrill them, so let's make sure. But 2, I think we're going to set it back in and take another look at that cover and see what the impact of that is. And if you've never had a bit chowder into some aluminum, well, that's fun. Luckily we hadn't drilled the ones over here yet, but they won't be as centered as I wanted them. But that's going to be okay. So this rib nut's offset a little bit because that hole got chowdered up. And what is probably going to be the last segment of this video, we now have straps. Wait, one more thing. Now I think we've got a spot to close out. Now, this will probably get fancied up because this part of the strap will be visible. This part will be hidden, and you can see this is where those dimples are. You know, I don't think we could get any bigger radiator realistically than what we have. And then remember, we moved those wings for the air inlets. So that goes the whole width. And it's about as much airflow as we could possibly arrange in this car. Looking about as good as we could. Particularly since we really wanted to reuse an expensive fan pack that hasn't fit the last 3 vehicles we've tried to use it on. It fit the Corvette perfectly until the aftermarket A-arms. Yeah, unfortunately, suspension trumps every time. You got to have suspension. Yeah, on that one, the radiator was at such an angle that we would have had to cut out right in here. And, well, the fan's there, so at that point, why even bother? Yeah, I'm going to have to change that hose routing. I know how much I like that, but I can kind of already see, where that's going to probably wind up. It's not the end of the world. I maybe could sneak it in here, but I don't know that I want to. I'll play with that more when I can lift it up and look from beneath. Yeah, it's later than we were expecting it to get so fast, because I honestly didn't think this would take this long. But I think that about everything. Let's put that on there. Just keep some cats and bugs out. Yeah. That's going to really do a good job of cooling this. And then, as you know, I've got all those wires I added. They're stuffed in here to be safe for now. And we don't want to lose this little flapper guy. We're going to be able to reuse most of this. I think we're just going to have to trim just a little bit. But yeah. And disclaimer, like always, those aren't the valve covers that are going to be on the motor. These aren't the bolts that are going to be on the motor. That's how building stuff goes. You just use what's handy until you get there. Anyway, please like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. This has been another ShopDog-Garage approved video. Thanks for watching.